After transferring out of our university, my former roommate tells me, so, my new roommate is a Black Asian. And he isn't talking about mixed race. He's referring to a taxonomy of Asian Americans all us Asian Americans learned decades before we learned what the word taxonomy meant. Because by middle school at the latest, we began to understand that if you were Asian in America, you were either white Asian, Black Asian, or Asian Asian, which meant you were a fob, fresh off the boat, which you couldn't be if you were lucky enough to be born here. But the problem with being Black Asian is you're never really Black, no matter how many hip hop songs you can rap along to flawlessly flowing in sync with the beats. And the problem with being white Asian is you're never really white, no matter how much money you might end up making. And the problem with being Asian and not knowing even one of the languages all the white people assume you know how to speak is that you don't get A's in math class, and you're not actually good at playing StarCraft. And your friends who were born back home flip-flop between making fun of how you pronounce the handful of foreign words your parents taught you and lamenting about all the times they fobbed out. Translation, all the times they failed in at sucking in all of the Asian in their American. And none of this is preparing you in the slightest for understanding how racist this country you're told time and time again you are so lucky to have been born into actually is and will continue to be as you continue to try and grow up and through all of this. It never even occurred to you to ask your parents why the country that you all come from was so damn corrupt and so damn poor that they felt the need to work so hard to immigrate to this one in the first place just so you'd be born lucky. And to this day, you still haven't heard any Asians from your parents' generation say the word colonialism, as if centuries of oppression amounts to just another language barrier to overcome through the minimum of effort necessary to justify your existence as an immigrant or a child of immigrants like I am, and like my former roommate and his new roommate are, and all the other white Asians and Black Asians and Asian Asians, or FOBs, as we called them, as they called themselves, as we all called our parents, as we attended middle school in the San Gabriel Valley, just 4 miles away from the Santa Anita racetrack, which was an internment facility for Japanese Americans during World War II. And I use the word internment because internment is defined as the imprisonment of people without criminal charges or any intent to file charges by those who have imprisoned them, which means that the over 19,000 people imprisoned there were imprisoned for the unofficial but officially enforced crime of being of Japanese descent, and yet 6 to 7 decades later, and 4 miles away, my friends and I were teenagers struggling to figure out whether we were white Asian or Black Asian, making fun of and being made fun of for being too much or not enough, fresh off the boat. And I don't use these terms anymore because the only thing more cringy than my musical taste and sense of humor at the time was my internalized racism. But my former roommate transferred out of our college because he was going to med school and I was in a liberal arts program. And without that education, I don't know how else I'd have been able to make sense of all this. And to this day, I still haven't talked to him about the importance of language. This day, I wrote this poem because some days I feel more capable of writing poems like this than I feel capable of having conversations like that. Thank you.